All I wanted to accomplish with this project was to make a few very basic, very small, hollow boxes and test them for loudness and sound quality. So, how did I end up here? This project started with the strange sound-making gizmo I made a few months back, and one of the big questions that was still nagging me. Would little tiny hollow bodies sound better and be at all louder than just a stick of plywood? So, in order to satisfy this question, I figured my best bet would be to laser cut the boxes for ease of assembly. And, as it would turn out, the Los Angeles Public Library has a maker lab right inside its central location. So, like the StringaMorph wheel that goes round and round, I hopped into my own rolling vehicle and braved downtown LA to fill out an in-person only application so I could easily reserve a spot later in the week. Or so I thought. Turns out the hours are pretty limited, there's only one laser cutter, and it's pretty much always booked up. So I ended up just throwing money at the problem and had someone else cut the boxes, as is the American way. In all fairness though, the library's lab is a free service, so this shouldn't be surprising. I was planning on getting more video footage when I returned, but I can confirm the lab itself is beautiful and the employees I spoke to were exceptionally nice, so I'll give it a shot again in the future when I have more time to play around. I was delighted to find out that there's also an embroidery machine there that I'd love to give a whirl. On the plus side, my library trip gave me the opportunity to peruse the music section, where they house aisles and aisles of scores. So many that you might just say they have too many notes. Besides that minor hiccup, assembly was reasonably straightforward, despite the fact that I didn't quite account for the laser kerf enough, slathered on way too much glue, failed to square some of the boxes properly, and drilled a little bit too close to the sun for a couple of the tuning pegs. I also decided to sand off the excess tabs on the smallest box just to see how hard that would be to do by hand, which produced some unexpected results that are going to be pertinent in a minute. Okay, so we have all of our test subjects here lined up and almost ready to go. As you can see, this is the original StringaMorph here, and these are the different boxes that I've put together. This little smaller one is pretty close to the same size. And the only thing I'm going to do first is to attempt to tune the similar sized boxes to a similar pitch. Unfortunately, they don't tend to keep their pitch very well, so I'm just going to have to do the best that I can. For each one of the boxes on the table, I tested a simple pluck in both fast and peak modes on the decibel meter. I also tested each one while holding them in my hand because I realized that the sound quality itself was different with this method. I encountered two main difficulties with this process. The first was that I needed to steady the boxes while plucking, which introduced some muffling of the vibrations. And secondly, this was especially noticeable on the box that I shaved off the assembly tabs. Not only did it make it harder to find a location where I could place my fingers without affecting the sound, but the fact that it was now crookedly resting its entire body on the table, instead of sitting on the little feet that once were there, also changed the sound. To partially remedy that problem, I did slide a couple pieces of scrap wood underneath it, but the issue of steadying the box did still remain. So, yet once again, more things to consider for next time.
All right, let's get to testing. And there you have it, a very unscientific test. I don't think it should surprise anyone that bigger is louder in this case, but what I find the most interesting is the difference between these two, not necessarily in terms of decibel levels, but in terms of sound quality. For some reason, this one sounds a little bit softer. I'm not sure how well that picks up on the audio that I recorded, but that is sort of the most interesting part of this test, is the actual sound quality. So Maybe more experiments are to come. Maybe.